perfect timing.
Yes, you are.
Yes. Welcome to Beyond Recovery, everybody. Never mind our talking over the intro here, but that's pretty crazy. My guest today is Nick, and he's Zoom calling in from South Africa, where they do this thing where they have the power is out for like, and it just literally came on as we started the episode. So great timing. Nick, how's it going today?
Hey, good on you.
Very good. Very good. Thank you for joining me. And we established it's time of recording. It's about noon here, Edmonton, Canada. It's about 8 p.m. your time over in South Africa. So yeah, born and raised in South Africa. Oh, you may have you dropped? Did you drop off there? Oh no, you're still there. Might be still having some aftermath of the power outage. Wait for him to come back on here. It was pretty epic timing though. It was like literally as I hit record, it was like the record button was the on switch for his house. The lights came on. There's a celebration thumbs up all around, and it appears as though we've lost him. That's okay. He'll come back on with a fresh set of Wi-Fi and we'll get into it. So yes, Nick from South Africa. Yeah, in the meantime, while I improvise here before he comes back on, Nikki Sober 21. So it's Nikki with a Y _sober 21 is his Instagram. Highly recommend following. Yeah, he's looks like sober date of June 13th, 2021. And definitely into the whole exercise thing. We've had a few folks on the show, as you know, with Ian, who's a past guest, specifically comes to mind with taking that energy of, hiding and, getting over on people and running from yourself and avoidance that can come with the addiction of alcohol, taking that energy and focusing in for the good, and that being into, improving your mental and physical health. So that's a big part of Nick's journey here as well. We're going to get into that. And yeah, what else? It's super cool. We're getting fairly deep into the guests here. We got guests from all over the world. This is the first one from first guest from South Africa. But yeah, about an 8-hour time difference. Always interesting, kind of just starting my day, getting into noon and into the evening for him. So hopefully he hops back on here soon. We'll get started. This may be an edit point. As you all know, all the listeners know, I like to do the sort of the live to tape thing and steer away from the edits. So maybe I can continue to fill space with various verbiage. Definitely some of the topics we want to talk about. Obviously the working out thing with him. Yeah, the bodybuilding, fitness. And he's into interested with Jordan B. Peterson, rather. Fairly polarizing character he can be, but he's got a picture of Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, an Antidote to Chaos, which I'm intrigued by. Anybody that follows me on Instagram knows that I do do a lot of different quotes, and I find Jordan B. Peterson to be I keep saying Peterson to be a wonderful public speaker. And just as a way of phrasing things. So definitely get into that. And yeah, take the time. I mean, shout out Instagram community, sobriety community specifically is just amazing. It's where I've met the majority of my guests. I had Dennis on earlier today, and he is from Reddit. The Reddit threads are amazing as well. And yeah, just kind of scanning through Nick's Instagram page here too, some before and afters. It's great to see just some cool quotes. Yeah, just definitely worth a follow. There's so many wonderful people on here. Oh, nice. A Zig Ziglar quote. I got to pause myself and read that one. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. Nice. Great quote by Zig Ziglar. It's on his Instagram page there. And yeah, no, it looks like he's coming up on, it'll be a year. I guess it'll be past his year sober, at time of posting this. So, but that's coming up pretty quick in the next couple of weeks, time of recording here. So congrats to Nikki on that. And yeah, if this takes any longer, I mean, I'm just kind of elongating his introduction here. So what I may do is use this as an edit point. The only issue with the edit point is then he won't have the invite. I'll have to send a new invite to him. I'm going to check in on him live. This is why I like, okay, he is active. Hey, everything. Oop. Looking over the webcam here. Everything. Okay. Aha, perfect. There we go. Okay, give him a minute to get back in.
Okay, here we go. I'm back.
There we go. Nice. All right. Welcome back to the show, Nick. I just did a nice 3 or 4 minutes introduction for you. We kind of went over your I took the guests, or sorry, the listeners through a bit of your Instagram page, promoted that,
Yes.
kind of set the table about what we're going to talk about here today. You're getting into
Oh, cool. Thank
bodybuilding.
you.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for coming on the show. And, just super cool. I was saying that, to, while we were waiting for everything to kind of come back online on your end, just how cool it was initially that like the power came on literally as we basically hit record, which is
as we
cool.
push play. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then we just had to wait for everything to kind of reload. But yeah, no, I'm looking at it's super cool, like your Instagram page. You got some before and after. You're definitely getting into like the bodybuilding side of things. And so we're definitely going to get into that. But before we do, I always like to give the guests an opportunity. Like, what is present your origin story with alcohol? Like, what was it like? How early on did you get into it? What was your relationship like with it first? And then was it in your family? Does it run in your family? Was it at family gatherings? Just paint that picture for us if you can, Nick.
Yeah, so it does run in my family. So I've got one grandparent left, and the other three unfortunately passed as like not from alcohol, but issues related to.
Yep.
So where they would either get ill or sick and then go that way. But yeah, so that's always been around in my family gatherings. My dad's got a fully stocked pub at home. So, but he does drink responsibly, like most South Africans. If any South Africans are listening, they'll know it's a big part of the culture here in this country.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's literally been around my whole life. I started probably 13, 14, and I'd wasted no time. Blackout drinker from the start.
Really?
Yeah. If only I saw the red signs or the red
Right?
flags.
Right. So right from the bat, so you just had let's talk a minute about that. So you had like a blackout experience, and it wasn't like you never had that idea to kind of back it off and figure out if there was a sweet spot. You were just like, okay, let's do that again. Like what?
See, well, like my friends and I still remember that night, like coming to again when I woke up, and a lot of my friends were still, sitting around drinking and everything. And I just had like missed a few hours because I didn't realize how hard it would hit me. So there were some older guys there also. So then they brought out the vodka and, spirits and things where we were just like fiddling with some beers and some, softer liquor.
Yes.
And then the vodka came and just black gone.
Wow.
And yeah, when I came to, luckily I didn't cause any trouble that night. But when I did come to, it was like okay, next time try and take it slow. And that worked for a few years. And then where every like once in a while I'll take it too far. Because like once I start, there's no off switch, and that's been from the start. So yeah, like I say, hindsight is 2020.
Yeah, you got that right. So interesting. So and then what was it like? So you had a big part of your culture in South Africa. You mentioned your friends in in your teenage years, they were into it as well, or was there sort of a different camps? Some people weren't drinking, some people were. What was that like? Going through high school and things of that nature.
Oh, well, when I was in high school, I went to Namibia, which is like a country just on top of above South Africa.
Oh, okay.
And the town I stayed in was very German. So I'm sure they were like bottle fed beer from a baby.
Right.
Because like literally none of my friends, they all drank, but not to the extent that I did.
Right.
And then you know how it goes. Everyone's just like, yeah, no, you should take it easier next time. Maybe don't have this like past, say 9 o'clock, and then at like 12 you can start again. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I'll try that. And then at 9 o'clock you need to go to bed, actually. Not
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there were definitely signs when I was in like teenage years already that I think it's part genetics, part just, like I say, once I start, there is no stop button.
So yeah, a question for you now that you've gotten into, I'm just thinking about like the personality type. Now that you've gotten into like, the bodybuilding and fitness, was it similar? Like as soon as you got into that, you're like, boom, like, cause it feels like it was just from looking at your Instagram posts and such that you're 100% into that now. Like, is that kind of your personality type? Like when you get something, you're like, I'm going to do all or none. Is that kind of safe to say? Or
Yeah. So I'm a big extremist. So, whether it comes to drinking or being in the gym, I've learned to taper it down now. So I'm a lot more chilled now. But when I just joined like the sort of the fitness scene and that part of life, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do it properly. So I actually got some abstinence during that time.
Yeah.
And it's weird, like good stuff started happening while I was off the booze.
Right.
And then I competed my first time. I forget the year. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, I can relax now. And it's been like a year that I haven't drank. So, maybe I can moderate now.
Right.
Yeah. And I was shown very quickly that there is no such thing.
I can, trust me, I can relate to that. That was very similar to my story as well, where it's like, yeah, you have this period of abstinence and you're like, well, I think I could go back and things will be different this time. And it's just like, it's so amazing how quickly it goes back to the way it was before, isn't it?
And more.
And
Like
more, right?
you hit where you were and you go past it so fast.
Yeah. Strange. It's
So,
strange, isn't it?
yes, but that was with everything in school. When it was exam time, the studies took over and you just sort of obsess over that, and then it moves to food and the diet, and then like even just books. I've been reading a lot of books lately, and then that also, you'll spend the whole weekend just reading.
Yeah.
So I've had to sort of teach myself to sort of do things normally, to to an extent, because even with work it was the exact same and it got unhealthy. So
Workaholic, right? Just, yeah, everything is about work and you're bringing it home with you and that kind of thing, I imagine. What's yeah, that's interesting, man. So yeah, definitely have that is part of your personality type for sure. One thing I noticed that you had is that Jordan B. Peterson book. I mentioned it while we were in the period where we're waiting for you to come back online. The 12 Rules for Life. I'm a big fan of Jordan B. Peterson. Like what did you get out of that book? That seems like a pretty intriguing book.
it's that dude's mind is just on a completely different level.
Yeah.
So I took what I could. Like a lot of it was very like relatable to the things I'm doing and how I can sort of just be mindful of it and not fix it, but just notice when something's going like in a particular pattern,
Right.
so that you can say, okay, I've been down that road and there's a monster at the end of that road. So let me like waver off and see what's down this alleyway.
Right.
And that was one of the biggest, but I'll definitely have to read it again or a few times to understand it properly.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Even listening to him do like public speaking, I absorb it and I feel it. But if I were to try and recite it back, I'm like, just because he's, his vocabulary and the way of phrasing everything, I would sound, I wouldn't do
Yeah,
it
and then you're
justice at
like,
all.
okay, just rewind
Rewind
this
it.
whole piece and then
Take
try
some notes.
focus more.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so speaking of
And
focus, what kind of things were you doing to slow that down? So you mentioned that you're extremist personality type, but you're learning how to sort of dial that in. What sort of things have you brought into your life that helps you with that?
well, like with the bodybuilding, like a lot of people say it's like all physical, which it is, and it starts off that way. And then you start like obsessing about what your body's looking like, what you're eating, how, if you feel like an Oreo, you like get in your head and you're like, no, this is bad. I can't do this. So again, it's just being mindful of like, it's okay. You're not one of like Mr. Olympia. You can have the Oreo, just go and eat it.
Right. Yeah.
So also like in that sense, just lowering my standards a little bit, because
Yeah.
also I've noticed with people in recovery, they are extremely high achievers when they like get into recovery and they're sober. They do really good things. So also just taper that down, and like with work, I have set times. So like after 6 p.m. I will not open my laptop.
Nice.
That's like a rule for me. Otherwise I sit till midnight and you don't even notice it's midnight. You're just like, oh shit,
Right.
I have work tomorrow, I need to sleep.
Yeah. Interesting. So you really set up some like hard boundaries, like, okay, 6 p.m. no matter what, we wrap this up then.
Yeah, because that's when I would like to be either with family or friends or in the gym or whatever. Because I joined the gym just purely because I was overweight. And then the strangest thing happened. Like, then I started building like a little community in my gym. And then when I actually got sober properly, now this last time, it's amazing how many people around you, even like guys you've known for years, just walking around, you chat to them every day. Then it comes out like, oh no, I've got 5 years and I'm so and so and I've got like 12. And
Wow.
you look at this dude and you're like, okay, like if he can do it, I can do it. And we like
Yeah.
both here. So
Yeah.
now you
Yeah.
end up talking to him more, and then so you learn.
Cool. It's amazing. It's amazing how powerful, yeah, like community and connection is and can be and how important it really is for sobriety specifically, right? The thing that we're talking about, like, yeah, it's so cool. That's so neat that you're finding that, and as soon as it's, you're being honest about it, it just attracts people to be open about their stories. And then it's, you find this like support within that, right? Which is, yeah, that's pretty neat. That's good that you found that. Let's just go back a little bit. I kind of got sidetracked there. My apologies. Just said, a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. So yeah, the teenage years and all that we've gotten into. Where did it kind of start turning for you to the degree that you did want to have these? You mentioned the one period of abstinence, but when you started training and all that. But when was there a specific time, if there was, where you had this? Okay, I got to really, sober up here. And what were the reasons, and kind of what is the context when that happened?
Jeez, there's so many. So when I was still in Namibia, I was actually arrested my first time, or
Oh,
only time. And I was 16. So DUI
oh
at
yes.
at 16, which again, that should be enough of a reason.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I sort of like fumbled around, finished high school, and then after school, I started working in a pub because I just wanted to get away. So I moved away. The job I got included a like living situation. So after school, I was like, yes, this is perfect. You know, I get to leave home. I can do my own thing. So I was working in a bar, and then that's where it really like accelerated the intake
Mm.
of how much I was drinking, because you'd be working 16, 18-hour shifts
Wow. Yeah.
from Monday to Saturday night or Sunday morning. And like by Thursday, the only way you stay awake with your customers is to drink with them.
Right.
So yeah, so nothing really got out of hand there, but it really came to a head now in, I'd say, the last 4 years, because my girlfriend at the time, she's an ex now, um, quickly noticed that it was a problem.
Mm.
So her and I sort of schemed different rules and, you know, different things we can do to moderate, because she was also part of the South African drinking culture,
Ah.
and also never, you know, caused problems. There was never an issue with her. It was just good, clean fun, as it's supposed to be, which is the obsession. And then, so, you know, by me acting up or drinking too much or doing, you know, whatever in a blackout, it was ruining her night.
Mm.
So that, you know, that sort of brought a rift in. And then in that year where I was training, and I actually got like my first year of like, I'm not going to call it sobriety, I'm going to call it abstinence, because it didn't feel like it does now. You know, I was still just basically just went from booze to weights and just
Mm.
focused everything on that. And then if it, you know, anything happened to that, I just went off the rails completely. So in that time, things did get better. And then, like I said, afterwards got back into it, and you get very quickly to where you don't want to be. And eventually that ruined the relationship, and you know, she broke it off, which, you know, I'm surprised she lasted that long. So yeah, shame.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then when she left, it got like really, really bad, because now in a place on my own again, nobody's watching me, no one's,
Mm.
you know, like checking, okay, Nick is now going, you know, we're halfway through our drink and he's had two already,
Right.
you know. So that's when I started isolating bad, like really badly. And then the mental health just went like deteriorated so fast, to where I was struggling to keep up with work. I wasn't training much at all, and if I was, it was like a menial little, you know, half-assed effort. And then towards the end, that's actually when my parents got involved.
Mm.
So my dad and mom, like literally the best thing that they did for me until I figured out how to be sober was just to not write me off,
Mm.
because it was getting to like that stage, like where my dad would come over and he wouldn't like, he knew it was bad, but not to the extent of what he saw when he like came by unannounced,
Ah. Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
where
Gotcha.
I'm living alone, but I'm still hiding bottles in the cupboard
Mm.
or in the pantry, or like weird places that it shouldn't be in, but you've still got them all over the house. So, you know, then they started bringing it up like, listen, you need to go and see somebody. So I went to see I did some counseling, and it didn't work at first at all. But he definitely led me in the direction to where, you know, I sort of came from now, because I tried AA. It didn't gel with me very well.
Mm.
Like obviously they have their place and it works for a lot of people. So, you know, if it works for you, do it, you know, whatever works.
Totally.
But with me, it just there wasn't a solid connect there.
Mm.
So what I started doing, I turned to YouTube, and podcasts and things, and I found one uh, that's hosted by Craig Beck, the
Oh,
Stop
I love
Drinking
Craig.
expert,
Yes, I love Craig Beck. Yeah, yeah,
and that resonated with me so much.
for
So that's
sure.
when I started sort of picking the pieces back up again, because then what happened was I switched jobs as well, but there was a month between when I ended and when I stopped or started my new one. And that's when it really got bad. So I got sober
Mm.
like 4 days before I started my current job.
Oh, wow.
And it was in like such a rush,
Yeah.
that like a rushed effort to just get it out of my system, because I still today, I don't understand how I wasn't physically dependent with the amount I was taking in.
Yeah, yeah.
Like in any logic, I should have been, but thank God I wasn't, because it made, detoxing a lot easier,
Right.
because
So I was
yeah.
just gonna say, like, so during your period of detox, I guess, wasn't like the classic. Yeah, like you didn't have any physicalities for like tremors or anything like that. You were able to just sort of metabolize it, sober up, and move on from there. Is that true?
I I wasn't shaking or anything. Like I didn't have such bad withdrawal symptoms, but I did have a few panic attacks where,
Mm.
like, I remember I'd be sleeping and I just wake up and I feel like I can't breathe,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just need to just, and I could feel my heart was coming out of my chest, where you have to control your breathing, get back down to normal,
Yeah.
and then you're too scared to sleep, obviously, so you're like awake for the next few hours because you're like, Jesus, what was that?
Yeah.
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 so so literally, so I did that, started the new job, and I found such nice people at the new job, where I haven't gone big into, so what I've been through with alcohol with them, but they know I don't drink, and they haven't asked questions, which is
Mm.
often the best response you can get.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, and then they carry on with their life,
Right. Right.
you know,
Yeah. For
which
sure.
is which is awesome. So yeah, in that month between the two jobs, that's where I was literally like, I'm missing weeks there. There's like 2 weeks there that I cannot recall at all.
Wow.
Luckily, I didn't have my car keys.
Right.
Yeah, no, my dad made sure to take that away, but it was still not healthy way to spend some off time.
No kidding. So that was the 2 weeks before you started this new job. Was
Yeah,
those 2 weeks that you more or less lost. Your parents got involved, to their credit, taking your car keys and such. And then you pulled it out. You pulled it out of the nosedive at the 11th hour, so to speak, right before you start this new job. And that is, I want to say, it's like, is it June 13th? Is your sober day?
yeah, day before my dad's birthday.
Oh, no way. That's super cool. I'm sure that was a good present for him, knowing that that
Yeah,
was your
so
new way of going
yeah,
about it, eh?
yeah, so I'm hanging on to that date like
Yeah.
for dear life,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's so close to, and my mom's on the 19th.
Oh, no, of June?
Yeah,
Oh, no
like five
way.
days apart.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah. That's
I'm really, really clinging to that.
yeah, no
So,
kidding. And that's
so
sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, so what happened was that first, call it, month at the new job, I also just put a lot of focus into obviously learning the new space, new everything, but also just kept the mindset like, you have to make this work. No one's coming to help you after this.
Yeah.
You know, so whatever you have to do, just don't drink for today. You worry about
Yes.
tomorrow, and then the weekends was where it got really rough, and where I really like, I think I annoyed my friends because I'd phone for like hours and just talk, and then eventually like they'd be like, listen, I need to have dinner with my kids, or my wife's calling me, or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, but then put me on speakerphone.
Let me have dinner with you. Yeah.
Yeah, like,
Yeah,
just
right.
talk, it's cool.
Yeah, right. Oh man, that's good. Did your friends have any ideas to why you were talking to them for so long? They have any idea that they were helping you get through some cravings?
Well, I never actually said it, but I think they had that idea because like most of them knew.
Oh, okay.
I like throughout my drinking, I couldn't hide anything. I'm very bad at that.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
where like sometimes you'd think you get away with it or you would get away with it, but for the most part, everyone knew like, listen, when this dude drinks, like mayhem and chaos just follows.
Follow. Yeah.
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 So most of my friends and all of my family was when they found out that I'm serious now and I'm giving it like a proper try, were like it was like a thank God kind of
Mm,
kind of reaction,
yeah.
and then they were also just like, okay, can you come out with us? Can you not? Do you want to? This is where we're going. And when I say no, they leave it alone. They're like, okay, cool. We'll go for
Cool.
lunch tomorrow or whatever. So I'm very lucky in that I've got a very good support structure.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. I think a lot of people's, myself included, I remember when I was first getting sober, one of the excuses in my head is like, what are people going to think? I don't want that, it's a shameful thing. I didn't want, everybody to know about it. Right. So, but it's funny. It's like, and it sounds like from your story, it's often the opposite. Everybody's super supportive. And like you say, they're like, oh, in fact, they're like, oh my goodness, thank God that you're going this route. Right. And you even talked about
Yeah.
like the folks at your new job, like you say, the best thing they can do is not do a follow-up question on why you don't drink. You just say you don't drink. They leave it at that. They go, oh, whoa, why? You got to, there's no further inquiry. They just leave it where it is, and that in a sense is supportive as well. So, that's super cool.
No, it is because also like I think I became such a menace towards the end there because while I didn't have my keys, I was still, there is Uber, you go to the bar and things, and that was always a recipe for disaster when I was drinking in public. Which, if anyone that knows me is listening, they're probably sitting there like, yeah, but I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so yeah, there was a lot of things that happened in that month that just I wasn't at a point where I could choose like to try and moderate again. I had used up those promises, and like this won't happen again. And this, I'd used burnt all my resources, and I literally just had to get it in my head that this is now either this or the way I'm drinking, I'll be dead by my next birthday.
Yeah. Right. So it was very much okay. Which one do I want to pick? It's a
Yeah.
crossroads, right? It's like, if I'm going to continue this, I know what the end is going to be, or am I going to go the opposite way and am I going to change everything? So yeah, interesting. So what do you credit that early sobriety to? You had the motivator of, that kind of almost like this pressure language that you're putting on yourself. I have to make this work. This is my, is in a sense, it's like my last opportunity to turn things around. What did you actually do beyond that mindset? Because that could have gone either way, right? Some folks, when they put too much pressure on themselves, it has the opposite effect. So that's good that it didn't. But what other things did you have, to help you through that initial stage, that first stage of sobriety?
Uh, well, I did white knuckle it for a long time, probably longer than I should have,
Interesting.
just to get going. But also that's the weirdest thing, and people like they giggle when I tell them this. It was actually a comedy special that people talk about. You can hear something 10 times. You just need someone to say it at the right time and it clicks.
100%. Yeah.
Where out of all the sobriety videos and the coaches that I've watched and read and listened to, and like I'm a big fan of Russell Brand as well.
Love him. Yeah.
And I love his book. It's just so authentic. I love it. But it was, I don't know if you know Daniel Sloss.
No, not sure.
Like on Netflix, he's got a special called Jigsaw.
Okay. I'll check it
where
out.
where he basically like, okay, it's a very morbid in the beginning, but he ends it off with saying that life is like a jigsaw and you need to put yourself in the middle. Well, this is how I took it. And I'm probably butchering this for anyone else who's seen it. But like the way I understood it and used it was put me for now in the middle of this thing. And all the pieces of the things I like, the people I love, you know, hobbies and, you know, work and everything around it. But try and be as aware as possible so that if something does disappear, that whole thing doesn't fall to pieces. And then I started working on that. So I was like, okay, what are the things that I want to do? So I started looking at studying, taking education a little bit further, started doing that. And then just also weird things like spending more time with my friends and family, which I wasn't doing towards the end there. And then while I was white knuckling it also, I was just like working straight home.
Right.
Because there's too many bad decisions in between.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So,
yeah.
So that I also, in that first 2 months, I was also still very isolated, which doesn't help at all. So I started to, you know, go out and visit friends and explain to them what the last few months have been like and things like that. And you won't believe how that has brought like my circle of friends even just closer to me.
That's awesome. That's great.
So yeah, and I'm still working on my whole jigsaw puzzle thing, but that metaphor helped me a lot. When I saw it, I was just like thinking, and I was like, okay, this makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
I mean, he's a comedian, and I was like, he is so smart, this guy.
Yeah,
so
right. Yeah.
I've watched that a few times to just get it in my head, and then just started putting those pieces together where right now I don't crave alcohol. I don't, obviously I still think about it a lot, but it's not anywhere near as powerful in my life as it was before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you've got things that you've set up like, okay, even if I wanted to, I can't because I have to be up at 5 a.m. tomorrow for this thing. Or, you know,
yes,
like the like the negative sides of alcohol, even the positives. It's just at this point in my life, it doesn't justify dropping a nuke on everything I've done in the last almost a year.
Yeah. And it's interesting, yeah, because it's a time of recording here. It's like May 25th. So you're literally like you're on the home stretch, which is amazing. Congratulations. That's awesome. That first year under your belt, like, man, it's I remember that was so monumental because it's like you've gone through your birthday, you've gone through Christmas, you've gone through, you know, family functions, you've gone through all these different events. So you've done it once and now you have this foundation. So each year you can kind of, you know what I mean? Each day we should say, like, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, right? You have experience. You've learned, you know, what it's like to go an entire calendar year. Summer. That's a huge feather in your cap, man. So congrats on that.
Thank you. And like, yeah, I've done a year before, but it, like I said, it didn't feel like it did, like it does now.
So a question, what feels differently about this one versus say the last time that you did? What was different about it?
Like we're in this past year now, call it 11 months, I have dug very deep on the inside to figure out all my destructive patterns or as much as I can. So that when like the negative thinking and those like impulses to just, it'll be like a normal day driving home and then suddenly, okay, I'm on my way to the bottle store. And before I could never stop that from happening.
Right.
Where you feel like you're sort of watching yourself go in, get it, go home, and just dive into the bottle. Where now when I start to feel and think that way, I can recognize it. And I know that's not me. It's just old patterns coming back.
Yeah.
And then you just need to let it go and do, you know, whatever. So like something I learned from Craig Beck was just drink a glass of water, see if you still feel that way. And 9 out of 10 times you don't.
Yeah.
So I use bits and pieces from like everyone that I've been listening to for the last year.
Yeah. That's excellent.
And yeah, so it's just like that kind of thing.
Yeah, no,
It
that makes
really,
sense. So it feels like you did more of the whereas before, like you say, it was almost like work home or work to the gym. It's almost then, like you say, you're almost like trying to outpace anything else that can, you know what I mean? You don't want to be exposed to certain things that could be triggers for you. Whereas this
yeah,
time you've really
or
done,
sorry,
yeah,
I'm interrupting, but like
yeah.
in that previous one, you just reminded me now, like
Mm.
a lot of that was avoiding what was going on in my head. So I was still
Ah,
using it to quiet down everything. Wasn't ready to deal with what was going on the inside.
yeah, yeah, I got you. That's huge.
Where when my ex left and I got sober, I realized, look, you're gonna have to do this if you want the next relationship to work. You know,
Yes, yeah,
so I spent months doing that, and it was, some of it was like really nice, but some of it was like you don't want to do it, but
yeah,
you need to.
but you need
And
to.
now I'm just like, thank God that all of the bad things and the good things happened,
Yeah,
because I'm here now and I'm solid in my mind knowing that I can be around alcohol and it doesn't bother me.
yeah, right. It's a good spot to be in. That's great. So
Yeah, if I can just keep that going, I should be good.
that's right. Exactly. And like you say, just keep it one day at a time, as they say, one moment at a time. I always like that one moment at a time. So that's great, man. So yeah, community is a big thing for you. It sounds like the connections that you have through, the gym, the bodybuilding community. You got a lot of support with your family and friends. You're getting fairly prominent on the like the Instagram sobriety community as well. What can you say about that? What's like versus on one hand, when you're talking, I'm viewing you almost as two different people. You got the one guy that was white knuckling, doing it in isolation, you know what I mean? And now you have this other guy, your current state, where you're very much more interactive with your family and friends. You're much more open with folks at the gym. Sounds like very two different people, doesn't it?
Yeah, because you have to grow. You can't like take something like alcohol away and not change things.
Ah, yeah, yeah. Smart.
Because then you're just going to end up being a dry drunk
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just be bitterly unhappy with the fact that you can't drink but you want to.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So you
Yeah.
need to build things that makes you not want to,
Yeah.
and then
Bingo.
eventually you'll like look at it in the shop and just be like, how did this even have such a hold on me? Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. And I know, like I'm talking like I've figured it out and I'm good forever, but
Yeah.
I know that I've got like one bad decision and everything is gone.
Right. Right.
So I keep that also very close to heart, because
Mm,
it is, you only have a choice on the first one,
right.
on the
Right.
first drink, and
Yeah.
after that it's
It's
not you making decisions.
that's right. That's right. There's a phrase. What is it? It's like one one is too many, but a million is not enough. Something along those lines. And it's just like, yeah, that I'm like, I heard that. I'm like, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
No,
Pretty much.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
by the time you wake up in the morning, the hangovers got so brutal.
Yeah.
They got so bad. Once I turned like 25, they just got
Yeah.
horrid.
Yeah.
So you'd be so scared of the hangover, you start drinking again from when your eyes open.
Oh yeah, man.
And
Yeah.
then,
Morning. Yeah. The hair of the dog
mm,
that bit you, right? Yeah.
yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible cycle to be in.
It really is. It's inspiring stuff, man. It's like, it's on one side of things, you got like the physicality with the bodybuilding and all that, but it really sounds like you've done the inner work, right? To get the stuff, like to your point, it's like so much of the people's problems are my problems are things that I've been trying to avoid. And out of that forms these patterns that are not suitable. It's all avoidance patterns, and it's not, it doesn't help me grow. It doesn't help me, they just, you off a long enough timeline, they become subconscious. So you don't even think about it. So then you really have to work to get the awareness back on them. So, kudos to you for, have you had some great advice here for folks kind of just starting. Is there anything that you could say to somebody that is in early sobriety or sober curious, or, somebody maybe just had like a relapse or something about, just staying the course, getting back on track, that kind of thing?
Well, with a relapse, I wouldn't like and I learned this from Craig Beck as well. It makes a lot of sense where don't give it more power than it needs,
Yep.
because like I understand like with Instagram and things, there's accountability, which I respect, but also don't like once you've done it and you've put it out there, let go of it. You're not gonna get it back, and being sad for a week is not gonna help. And I know
Right.
that's hard, but I mean, like, I don't know how to phrase this. Like, don't beat yourself up too much. Just be
Yep.
like, okay, this is now just another trigger I need to work on or fix or avoid for now, whichever. But don't harp on it. Don't just quietly, okay, cool, this happened. Dust
Yep.
yourself off, you carry on.
Yeah.
And I mean, with someone in early sobriety is also just I really thought long and hard before I started my Instagram page, and it's not huge, but it's growing, and I didn't expect it to grow that quickly. I mean, I've got people all over the world now that I follow, and I listen to their stories and I look at their stuff, and I'm like, yay,
Yeah.
And also on the other hand, I did not want to put that day one picture on anywhere. I don't want to say it. I'm so scared of that, because I know it's not just one night of drinking for me to get to day one. It'll be 14 to 20.
Right.
And by then I've caused so much damage where you just like, no. There is a fear there, but it's like a healthy fear. Like, I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. That
But
makes sense.
like, if you are starting and you want to connect with people, Instagram has been huge for me.
Yeah.
So I would suggest just start that page, even if it's just an anonymous one to start off with, if you don't want to go public. And like, what's it, private? Put it on private. Just to see how many people there are, because I was shocked. I was like, yo, no, because out of myself and one of my closest friends, I know nobody that's actively in recovery.
Oh,
Or
wow.
knew
Yeah.
nobody when I started. I was like the odd one out, not drinking, and trying to keep it sober, where it's just I cannot believe how big the community is.
It is incredible, isn't it? I think about for maybe 6 weeks or so that I've been really into it. And it was just sort of a happenstance. Like, I followed one person that was in early sobriety. And then, Instagram, it's like, okay, well, if you're following them, how about these? And I kept
Yes.
clicking, and before you know it, I'm like hundreds of people. And like, I haven't even I've scratched the surface. Obviously, you can kind of start seeing where everybody's sort of interacting on each other. So you get this idea of the community, but I have a feeling there's still a ton more people that I have yet to, get engaged with or introduce myself to. So it is an amazing community.
Yeah, because I'll see like a new page will pop up, and it's like it says they're followed by, and then it's the people you follow, and you like that list is just huge, and you're like,
it's massive. Yeah.
Everyone, like, I'm late to this person, like everyone knows him or her, and I don't. Like, let me go through it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is really cool to just have that online, like it's a sense of self,
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, I know I'm not as active on Instagram as I should probably be.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, I hear you on that one.
I'm still getting used to it. Like, I'll see something, and then later on in the day, I'll be like, I should have taken a picture of it, and I didn't.
Yeah.
And it didn't click in my head.
Yeah, it's gone
At the time to take a picture, and I was like, oh no, it's gone now.
Yeah. Well, I find with Instagram, it's a gradual thing, but like, if I don't delete it from my phone and it's on my phone, I check it. It starts like 7 times a day, right? Every couple hours. And then before you know it, I'm checking it like every 5 minutes. So I have to take it off because it's just one of those, like, it's habit again, right? I'm sure you can relate. Like, I have very habitual behaviors as well. So Instagram is definitely like that, because it's got that instant gratification kind of thing, doesn't it? So, but
yeah, TikTok is that for me.
Oh, like, big time. Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't post anything. I just like follow people and I watch, but that is where my like habitual comes in.
Yeah.
Where I just and then you look again and it's 2 hours later and you should have cooked dinner, or you should have
Yeah.
cleaned the car or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Something more constructive. But
Yeah.
funny thing, like my fiance is huge into TikTok, and like she learns a ton of stuff, like interesting things, whether it's like for like cooking or just things around the house.
Mm.
And now it's like it's like a running joke. Anytime something happens, I'm like, you learned that off TikTok, didn't you? She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But see, for me, it's just like the dad jokes on TikTok are endless. I love it.
yes. Oh,
Those
good dad
stupid
joke.
jokes
Yeah.
where everyone
Love 'em.
around me is like, really, Nick? That's not funny. And I'm like canning myself.
Yeah, no, those are the best ones when nobody laughs. They're like, oh, you kind of get a groan instead of a laugh. Those are the best ones.
Yeah, or like, oh, you showing us videos again. And you're like,
Yeah.
yes, but
Yeah.
I've got nothing else to do now.
Ah, that's awesome.
Uh,
Nick, thanks for coming on and sharing your story. It's just great stuff. Congrats on your upcoming impending celebratory 1 year sober. It's amazing. Great story. A lot of great information here. You have some excellent insight for folks any stage of their sobriety. So thanks for being so honest and sharing. And
oh no, thank you for having me on here. It's been
yeah,
really interesting.
for sure, man.
Because this is my first podcast, so I'm like fiddling with my hands and things. You know?
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's and yeah, the door is always welcome for you to come back if there's something that you want to promote, or if there's anything else you want to come on like later on in the year. Definitely hit me up, because anytime I have a guest on, it's great because we have the origin story. Folks get to know you. So the next time you come on, we can specifically talk about relapses, or exercise and sobriety, or a specific topic of your story, right? Which is super cool too.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So that'd be rad.
And then
I
also, I love those follow-up in like the follow-ups with people that like already have been somewhere.
Yes.
And you find out there hasn't been a relapse in between, and you're like,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
This is what I want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. So no, dude. Yeah, well, we'll definitely have you on. Always feel free to reach out. And of course, I'll keep in touch as well. And I can't thank you enough for coming on today. Thanks, man.
No, cool. Thank you. Have a good one.
You bet.